Namaste, welcome to the lecture series on the subject Basic Thermodynamics. This is module number 2 in that part 2, first law of thermodynamics, lecture number 11. Myself, Dr. N. Satish Kumar, Associate Professor of Mechanical Engineering, Canara Engineering College, Bantvard. So in the last lecture, that is number 10, we studied about the steady flow process and we derived the steady flow energy equation. So now we'll see the application of the steady flow energy equation. Now let us take the nozzle and the diffuser. So all of you know, so nozzle is a device which is used to increase the velocity of a flowing fluid. That means it converts the pressure energy into kinetic energy, because when the velocity increases, so kinetic energy also increases. Whereas a diffuser is a device which reduces the velocity or it increases the pressure energy. Okay, so now we'll see how you can apply the steady flow energy equation for the nozzle as well as the diffuser. Now you can see here, this is an insulation here shown. That means there is no heat transfer, okay, to the nozzle or the diffuser, and also you can see entry and exit are at the same level. That means Z1 is equal to Z2, so potential energy term gets cancelled, because if the energy terms are same on either side, left and right hand side of the equation, you can cancel those terms. And also there is no work transfer involved, because it's just converting one form of energy into the another form. Pressure energy into kinetic energy or kinetic energy into pressure energy. So let us see how we can simplify the steady flow energy equation for this nozzle and diffuser. Okay, so a nozzle is a device which increases the velocity or kinetic energy of a fluid at the expense of the pressure drop, whereas the diffuser increases the pressure of the fluid at the expense of the kinetic energy. Okay, now you have the SFE. H1 plus V1 square by 2 plus Z1G plus dQ by dm is equal to H2 plus V2 square by 2 plus Z2G plus dWx by dm. And here, as I told you earlier, the potential energy terms gets cancelled from the either side, because inlet and outlet are at the same level and there is no heat transfer and there is no work transfer. Okay, so how many terms? 4 terms are removed from the SFE. So you are remaining with H1 plus V1 square by 2 is equal to H2 plus V2 square by 2. So this is the equation for the nozzle or the diffuser. Now if you want to find out the most of the times this equation is used to find the exit velocity of the steam or the gas from a nozzle. Okay, so exit velocity means V2. Suppose if you want to find out V2, so you can use this expression. Suppose V1 is neglected, so then you have a separate equation for that. Let us see that. So the continuity equation, all of you know, M is equal to A1 V1 by small v1 is equal to A2 V2 by small v2. When the inlet velocity or the velocity of approach is small compared to the exit velocity, as I told you just now, so you can write the previous equation for the nozzle as H1 is equal to H2 plus V2 square by 2. Actually H1 plus V1 square by 2 was there here. So as I told you just now, V1 is small compared to V2 and it is neglected. So if it is not neglected, what you have to do? You would write V1 square by 2 here also. H1 plus V1 square by 2 here you would write. Otherwise you can remove that term, and if you simplify you will get V2 is equal to square root of 2 into H1 minus H2 meter per second. Now this is a very important expression to find out the exit velocity of the nozzle, provided the velocity of approach or the inlet velocity V1 is neglected. If it is not neglected, so then you have to use the the previous equation, that is h1 plus v1 square by 2 is equal to h2 plus v2 square by 2, and simplify that and you can find out what is v2. Okay, here h1 and h2 is in joules per kg. Suppose if they are in kilojoules, then you have to multiply by 1000, then it becomes 2000 into h1 minus h2. Okay, if the unit is kilo. Okay, next is the turbine and the compressor. Because turbine, its reverse function is compressor, so that is why we'll take any one. Here for a turbine, the h1 term will be there, velocity at the inlet and the exit are neglected, potential energy is also neglected, and there is no heat transfer. So the left hand side only h1 remains, right hand side you remain with h2 and the work term. So h1 is equal to h2 plus dwx by dm, or work wx by m or dwx by dm, anything you can write. So it is nothing but the difference in enthalpy. So that's what the work done by a turbine is always the difference of the enthalpy between the inlet and the outlet. Because when the fluid is entering into the turbine, so its enthalpy is more, part of this energy is coming into work, and what the energy leaving the system is less, so H2 is less than H1 always. Okay, so energy content in the inlet is more, outlet is less, the difference in enthalpy is converted into the work in case of a turbine. So whereas in case of a compressor, so it is a work absorbing device, so it will be negative, because it requires a work input, because we need to supply work to drive the compressor, so it will be negative work. Okay, next, suppose if you take a heat exchanger, so here you can see it's a heat exchanger where the two fluids doesn't mix. So here what hot fluid enters from the top. Okay, so it passes through the passage and it comes down after getting cooled, that is usually condensate, so it will be condensed. So how to, in order to get condensed from the hot fluid to the condensate, so it has to give out its heat. So for that you have to supply cold water from this end, and it absorbs that heat and it comes out here. So cooling water, how? But cooling water will be at higher temperature, here will be at lower temperature. So here hot substance is at higher temperature, here it will be at lower temperature after condensation. So here the total heat, whatever it is given by the hot substance, from here to here there is a difference in energy of this hot substance, it will be absorbed by this cold substance passing from left to right. So writing that MC into H1, so there is a total energy content of this cold, is MC is cold, okay, which is entering into this substance, entering into the heat exchanger, sorry for that, and the MS into H2, total enthalpy or the heat content of the substance entering at 2, so these two should be equal to what it is leaving here and what is coming out here, because what is given by one substance is absorbed by other. So MCH3 plus MSH4 is equal to this MCH1 plus MSH2. Okay, and if you simplify this, you can write MS, that is a hot fluid, that whatever the enthalpy loss, that is H2 minus H4, means heat given out by the hot fluid, okay, is equal to the heat absorbed by the cold fluid, which is nothing but MC into H3 minus H1. Okay, the principle of calorimetry, it means heat lost by the hot substance is heat absorbed by the cold substance. Very simple analysis, and directly you can write the expression. Okay, now similarly for a steam desuperheater, okay, so here water enters into the desuperheater, okay, and it passes through this and becomes at low temperature, it comes out here. So high temperature steam is entering, okay, and water is sprayed here, and it becomes a low temperature steam and it comes out here. Means desuperheater, not superheater. Desuperheater means its temperature is reduced. by spraying water. So here whatever the heat content of this steam and the water entering should be equal to the heat content carried away by this low temperature steam. That means at 1 plus, that's 2, okay, at 1, this is 1, so this is 2, should be equal to the energy content at 3, or total enthalpy at 3. So enthalpy of stream 1 plus enthalpy of stream 2 should be equal to the enthalpy of stream 3. So M1 H1 plus M2 H2 is equal to M3 H3, and the mass balance gives M1 plus M2 is equal to M3. It's very simple, because whatever the mass enters here, M1, whatever the mass enters from this end, M2, should be equal to M3 here, because mass, law of conservation of the mass, okay, or the mass balance, you can write.